allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you please call the roll? Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hazel? Yes. Mrs. Revolta?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann? Yes. Dr. Bell?
Yes, thank you. We'll entertain a motion then for approval of the minutes of the last two meetings, regular meeting March 20th and a special meeting March 27th.
So moved.
Mr. Guevara, second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Yes. Were there any corrections? Would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Revolta?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Abstain.
Mrs. Hazel?
Yes.
Dr. Bell?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening. As you can see, this is a new venue for us, so be patient while we explore how we're going to do everything. The only thing I'd like to share is I did have an opportunity since our last meeting to attend the ASK program. We had it was the third graders from even the county schools participated with all the Mount Vernon City grade school, grade 3 students, and they performed in the theater with Columbus, Ohio State University Opera Group, and it was amazing. They did the Three Belly Goat Stuff, and Wiggins Street School participated as a chorus, so they added their part to it. And just a delightful experience for the students, and I thought, what a wonderful opportunity for our kids to be exposed to that. So I just appreciate the gifted program and what they're doing and the opportunity they're giving our students. So, yes,
Just welcome to everybody. As I said to Mr. Will earlier, it's end of the year, bittersweet. We have our 3rd/4th child graduating, so lots of activities going on, lots of planning going on. So it's exciting. I know the schools are abuzz trying to get all of the last-minute testing in this week at the high school. So good luck with all of that. And I know that younger kids are anxious. Summer is amongst us weather-wise, so they get a little antsy. So good luck and welcome to everybody.
thank you. Mrs. Beagle.
Thank you, and thank you to Twino for hosting us, and to the tech team. So I think this is a real wonderful trial and error. I had the pleasure of going to the senior citizen luncheon, so I wore 2 hats, probably a young senior and a board member, but it was so well attended, and just to see our students and our seniors, everyone had a great time. So just special thanks to everyone for making that happen. And I just can't help but, be so appreciative of all the accomplishments and all of the happy events that are going on at this time. And I just would like us just to think of the Jones family. We all probably know Mrs. Jones retired from the high school and they lost their 2nd son. So I just know all these things.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. As I was driving up this evening and I was getting out of the car and I saw the back area of this beautiful school and heard the birds singing and walking in, and I thought to myself, every child deserves this type of atmosphere. Every child in Ohio and across our country and the world deserves a chance to have this kind of facility to learn and grow and become a contributing citizen to our world. So I thank Twino for providing this beautiful venue for us. And we will continue to work, all of us, towards hoping that we all have this type of atmosphere and learning possible for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Well, on the facility thing, I'll take off on that and say that I can imagine Mayor Mavis might actually engage with this one. Is that it's great when you get to see so many of the community members taking advantage of our facilities. I had occasion to go to some of the baseball games down at the field, and it's great to look over and see Mount Vernon's track or soccer or Mount Vernon Nazarene University out there, and all that's being done to fully use our facilities. And it obviously doesn't happen without some coordination, and my hat's off to Mr. Sanford and Mr. Wilford. First of all, allowing it, arranging it, and doing so in such an orderly fashion. So it's great to see that.
Well, thank you. I too would like to welcome everyone here tonight. You are, I guess, our guinea pigs to some extent, but this is our inaugural kickoff to having a board meeting here at Twin Oak. It is an absolutely beautiful facility, and we've tried to do some things to make it a little bit more of a friendly venue. And so obviously you'll be able to follow along with our board agendas up here, and we have those things linked for you. And we're also recording this now live. So this is a live recording. We'll be posting it to our website for those who can't make a meeting, that they have an opportunity to see the board in action. What a wonderful job they do. The only thing that we'll be adding to the mix as we go down the road is all of us will have our own individual mics soon. I know you're so excited about that. But we really do look forward to having a great meeting tonight, and we've got some wonderful things to share. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott Will, as this is the high school's month to celebrate some awesome things that are going on right there.
Thank you. The first thing we'd like to do tonight is take the opportunity to recognize our behind-the-scenes person. This person is one of the first parents that I met when I became principal of Mount Vernon High School. He's a public servant in uniform, but also we found that he's a servant in his plain clothes as well. Wayne Noggle has been integral for our vocational agriculture and FFA program, as he has donated his time and resources to help our kids transport them to competitions and conventions. And we just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Wayne for his service to Mount Vernon High School. So if you'd like to come forward.
Thank you, Wayne. On behalf of Mount Vernon City Schools, we have just a small token of our appreciation, and get to see you a lot at different types of events, not only as a parent, but also certainly to help support the schools in the way that you do. So our admiration to you, and many, many thanks. Welcome.
On behalf of the administration of the high school, we want to take this opportunity just to say thank you for the opportunity to serve not only the students and staff in Mount Vernon, but also the community. Tonight, I think we have a couple treats for you in terms of, when we started this year, our theme with our freshmen was building into community. That's one thing that we talked to them at the start of the year. And as we've looked at different activities during the course of the year, I think that that's something that our students and our staff really took that to heart and ran with it. So tonight, our first presentation is going to be from sophomore Billy Jackson and in Mrs. Jessie Evans' class. The kids did a project on a different policy or something that they would like to see change in the high school, and we had the opportunity to sit in and listen to the kids' presentations, and I really thought that Billy did a super job, and so we asked Billy to come tonight and share with you what he shared with his class. So Billy, if you want to go ahead and come on up.
Hello there. My name is Billy Jackson, and I will be showing you a presentation of my project on moral heroes. And what you're going to see is that some of the images will move. Because, I like it. These are all just question marks. And a question from the top. ask yourself this. Does the school look cooler than last year? The answer is no. It's the same. It looks the same. The walls look brand new, no new murals. Nothing has changed. And so that's why Mount Vernon High School should have more murals. Because it would give the kids more pride. It would also show them more school spirit for the sports. And the school clubs can do this for fun. School pride and percentages. First thing, the school, the more prettiness the school has, the more kids will come and be proud of their school. You may wonder, why is it so important? The reason is, people have more confidence. Schools, a study shows that 92% of participants feel that high school spirit is tainted to the students in part. Studies show it will improve. Studies show that it will improve students' academic performance. And how much? Let's say really, really high. Spirit is the heartbeat of the school. Without it, it would die. School spirit. Also, murals increase school spirit for sport. Murals encourage respect for sports. Murals encourage respect for athletes. Murals can promote the value of good sportsmanship. For example, the theme of murals could be that it's not about winning at all costs. It's about having fun and playing fair. School spirit is a good thing to have when you're a jacket. And believe me, the jackets are great. School clubs. Murals can be a creative opportunity for the students. Art clubs can make pretty murals as they have in the past. Creativity is important because students who study in art can most likely win academic awards with an art award. Then it would improve students' academic performance. Overall, it would be fun for the students. Just look at it. Fun. In conclusion, the school should have more murals. There are several ideas of what to do. Murals can be, or will be, put up on a schedule. Also, students can donate money for the murals as a fundraiser. Everyone will look at every mural and be impressed about how good our school is compared to other schools. I hope we all have the full jackets experience. Your jacket. The end. Your jacket.
One of the neat things, that the kids did, some put out surveys, some emailed administration with different questions about what policies they couldn't have. And when we got to sit in and listen to these presentations, the kids had an opportunity to ask questions of each other. We had opportunities to ask questions, and the kids put a lot of time and effort and thoughtfulness behind this project. So this is just one of the great things that are going on within our school community. So thanks, Billy. Next up, I've asked Mrs. Volk and Mr. Tachev had just gotten back from Spain with a group of students, and so we asked them to come, and they have a student with them tonight, and so they're going to share a little bit about their experience of their trip.
Good evening, everybody. I want to say thank you to the board because of you we were able to go to Spain. Without it, we wouldn't have gone. It was an amazing experience. We don't have time to share everything we did, but we did city tours, we visited castles, palaces, art galleries, museums, did tons and tons of walking and walking and walking. I don't know how many miles we walked. We visited several cities. The kids really had a wonderful time. They asked good questions, they ate a lot, they were willing to try new things, but they also went to a McDonald's, which tasted better than in the US. We also had one day at the beach. We tried all the means of transportation, the plane, boats, catamarans, metro, stuff that we don't have here in Mount Vernon. What else? We took pictures, we had fun, and I am very proud of the Yellow Jackets. They really, their behavior was outstanding. When we were having dinner, they were very civil and talking in a neat fashion. No one was loud. They did amazing. I am very proud, and I am very happy. And would I do this again? Of course I would. Of course I will. So we prepared, or Clay prepared a small slideshow for you. The pictures don't do it any justice. You have to be there to live it. And my thought is that traveling is the best school out there. They were very curious. I think they embraced the culture. Many of them tried to use the language, but on the other hand, I was kind of disappointed because young people in Spain speak English, and they wanted to be helpful, and I wanted them not to be helpful. So, but many of them were conscious, aware about that, and they tried to speak Spanish. They also bought a lot of souvenirs and a lot of food. Whenever they had a chance to buy something on their own, and try, I want to try this, chocolate con churros, and they went and they tried, and it was amazing. Veronica, you want to say something?
We can get out there, yeah, in front of the, that way we can get you out.
Hello, my name is Veronica Morgan. I also went on this trip. I had the experience of my passport was stolen, and it was my fault, but thankfully you are all blessed with an amazing group of teachers that just took me under their wing, and I really was like their child. Mrs. Walk stayed with me for 3 days after the rest of the kids went home, and she really was like a second mom to me. She took care of me, and she was absolutely amazing. Mr. Tasha got to go home though with the rest of the kids, but he was a blessing. He straightened everything out with my parents and was really a lifesaver. So thank you to the both of you. This experience was 1 in a million, and I am so, so lucky to go to a school that gives me the chance to do something like this. And you know, when you're in class, you think about the culture, you learn about the culture, but experiencing it is a whole different story. The way that people talk and greet each other in the streets and just sit and eat food for hours. Nothing like we've experienced here. It's an in and out sort of deal. They sit, they enjoy each other's company. It's beautiful. The buildings are beautiful, the people are beautiful, the food is beautiful. So I am just really, really grateful for this trip. So I want to thank you all very, very much.
All right, well, just like the two of them, I want to thank you very much for having approved this trip. I know our students just absolutely had the time of their lives. And from a teaching perspective, you know, on a daily basis, you try to cultivate this enthusiasm for travel, for learning about other cultures, learning about other languages. And you're always reaching in from your own experiences, right? And trying to project that out. And, you know, you do what you can in class, but going with a group of students and living it on a day-to-day basis and watching them just become so excited about everything they're experiencing, everything they're learning, was really rewarding as a teacher. Veronica said it best, and you can just see how excited she was to have had the opportunity. Her opportunity lasted 3 days longer than anyone else's. But you know, that's okay. These things happen, and we handle it. But I'm just so appreciative that we work for a school district that would support experiences like these, because they're so important to the students as they're learning so much. I created just a 5-minute video presentation, and I also asked a few students, I said, finish this for me. I said, the trip to Spain was, and then they had to record their thoughts. And so as you're watching some of these photos, you'll hear some of the things they say, and I think it's pretty touching.
Spanish culture and language, and made memories I'm never going to forget.
Spain was the best thing I've ever experienced. I've wanted to live in Madrid for the past 2 years, and being able to see it, especially when we were on top of the art center, looking out over the entirety of Madrid, was amazing. And it was just exciting to see where I want to spend the rest of my life. was fantastic. We had wonderful tour guides who knew everything about where we were, what we were doing. It was just fantastic. I have no words to explain how great it was.
Spain was cool because it was a great opportunity to learn and practice Spanish, as well as see some of the places and the culture that we studied about. And it was also really fun. I could go live there someday.
The trip to Spain was absolutely the best experience of my entire life. I loved being in a foreign country where I could actually understand the language, and everything about the countryside was so incredibly beautiful, and there was so much rich history there. I absolutely loved it.
I never thought I could love a country as much as I love my own. The culture and people were beautiful and everybody was so kind. It felt like home and everybody was just so warm. I hope after this experience to maybe study the language more and maybe go abroad in college.
Well, there's a snapshot of just two of the things that are going on in the building with our students and community. We have so many different things going on during the course of the year, you know, from athletics to art to music to our normal academic schedule every day. And our kids give 100%, our teachers give 100%. I couldn't be more proud of them. And I know what it's like to take 4 kids to the grocery store, so I can't imagine taking kids to a different country. And they just did a wonderful job, and so we're really thankful for that. And we have teachers that are willing to take on projects like that and take our kids through those experiences. So we've talked a little bit about some of the things that are going on within our student body, within our teachers. I'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on administratively. We've had some changes this year and some new faces, and I think one of the great things about our community is I have a group of administrators as part of my team that works tirelessly to serve kids, to serve students, to serve the community. So I'm going to ask Mr. Sanford, our athletics and activities director, to come up, Mr. Coughlin to come up, and Mr. Ashbrook. And I've asked them just to share a little bit about what they're doing right now, because I know that each one plays an important role in the vision of where our building's going. And so they're going to share just real briefly, and I'll wrap things up.
Thank you for having us and having myself. Certainly fortunate and blessed to be a part of this team, this community, and using that and building in a community. I mean, it just echoes where we're going athletically and where we want to go. The trip to Spain, I mean, just providing opportunities for our kids. We view athletics as an extension of the classroom, so the life lessons that they can take away, whether it's on a ball field or the track, is exactly what we want them to learn being a part of our athletic program. So this has been a unique year a little bit in terms of changing into a new conference, so our kids and coaches and community are learning to understand some of our new competitors and competitions and venues that we go to. I was hoping maybe the facility piece, we would stay on that theme all day tonight, but nevertheless, I mean, this is a great conference that we're entering into, one that is going to be good for our kids and our coaches and community. Like communities that we're competing against, like school districts, and competitive. I mean, it's definitely competitive, whether that might have been a little bit of a misnomer for some as they've gone in conversations that I've had with them, where we're coming from and where we're going to. There's darn good athletics at this conference. So I think our kids and coaches are getting a taste of that in our community certainly. The one thing I just highlight, and this was not driven by me, I will tell you, that it may have been on my list of things to accomplish within the first couple years. Once I got over here was beginning a leadership council. An athletic leadership council, and truly this was something that, let me get my feet wet here and understand where we are, our kids and coaches and so on. But our kids initiated this, and I am fortunate to say that there are 24 youngsters from freshmen to seniors that are a part of our athletic leadership council. We're going to try and meet quarterly this year. And next year with the implementation of the Hive period, hopefully on a more sustainable, regular basis. And what I have done in the past with this Athletic Leadership Council is I have asked business leaders from the community, board members, superintendents, coaches, etc., have the opportunity to come in and speak to our kids. Tell them a little bit about you and your experience, whether through athletics or in life and business. And those attributes, traits, characteristics that taught you, that you experienced to lead you where you are. So hopefully I get a chance to ask you to come in and speak with this group. Like I said, there's 24 of them. They set the theme, they set the new logo, and it's based on Hive, which is our Hive, so it's honesty, integrity, virtues, and excellence. So we're excited about that moving forward and certainly kicking that off to start off the 17-18 school year. Thank you. I didn't know we were taking questions. Mr. Thompson, looks like you have a question.
Well, my name is Corey Cobb. What I'm working with closely this year is we are creating a PBIS team, which is positive behavior interventions and supports. There are 9 teachers, myself, we're going to get some guidance, counseling to help us. We also have 5 students who we're working with. We're kind of in the beginning stages, so the first thing we did is we're creating school-wide expectations. We came up with this little jack of pride, so that's purpose, respect, integrity, determination, and excellence. So what we did is we created a matrix. So we found different areas of the school, the classroom, the cafeteria, and in the matrix we explained to the students how they could meet those different expectations and what that would look like. So that's the first thing we did to start the process. Now we're creating some lesson plans so we can actually teach the students what's expected of them. We're also going to teach the teachers how to look at those kinds of things so everything's consistent across the board. One of the other things we're doing is different lists of behavior, how we are going to do one of the positives and have consequences for the negative behaviors and making sure that's getting consistent and positive. So we're, like I said, we're just in the beginning stages. We just had a meeting today, so we're meeting quite regularly right now. Hopes that begin next year.
Well, a little disclaimer, this isn't going to be Spain or murals. I'm going to talk numbers, so I'm Tony Ashford. I appreciate the time to talk to you real quick here. Basically, administration team, we got together in August and we decided how we're going to attack this year with the OIP and the DLT and the 2 goals that the district has. And we need to set a baseline for what we want to accomplish. So most schools, they look at baselines as test scores and they go from the student first. And we decided, let's see how our teachers actually instruct and have them reflect upon what they do and take that information and then try to connect it to the way students learn. And so, and it's not rocket science, but we just thought we'd try a different approach. So we took that idea, and we took the 2 goals, and we created a watch list. And so what we did is, The two goals deal with the bottom 20%, the subgroups within the district, within the high school. And so I created a list, and we ended up with our baseline to begin the year with around 527 students that fit in those areas that fit into our two goals. And at the end of the first quarter, 42% of that list was on our intervention list. So those are students that we felt needed extra help to get where they needed to be for us to reach those goals. So at the end of the second quarter, our list grew to 629, and 51% of those kids were on the intervention list from the watch list. So that gave us enough information to start looking at what are we doing to service these kids, what do we need, what patterns are forming. And what the teachers would do at interim time at the end of the quarter, they would turn in a list to us with those students' names that would go on the intervention list. And then they would list the interventions they're using. And then what we did is we took our TBT meetings and we created 2 TBTs this time, and then what we call triad meetings. And so we had 3 departments, 3 different departments meet. Each administrator took 3 departments, and then on Wednesdays we meet. And so they gave teachers a chance to meet with other departments they normally don't get to, and they get to share that list out. Hey, I have this kid, well I do too. How does this student work for you? Because this isn't working for me, and they're able to collaborate and do some things and try some different things. So with that being said, at the end of the third quarter, we grew to 694 on the watch list, and keep in mind, that isn't a bad thing. That just means if a student, you could have a student have straight A's all year, and once they slip past our certain baseline, even if it's interim time, they get put on the list. That way nobody falls through the cracks. So just because that number is raising doesn't mean it's a bad thing. The nice thing is, though, if you ever come to my office, I have this all over the back wall. One of my goals is to clean up the color and take the color out of my wall and keep it just one color. And so that's the nice thing. At the end of the quarter 3, we drop back down to 44%. So we were able to take that information and see what's working. And then we take that back to the department heads and our BLTs and say, this is what's working. They meet with TBTs, we meet triads again. And within all that, we have professional development with the a6dc1, the Battelle for Kids surveys that we give out. We've actually, we did a survey at the beginning of the year. Teachers may have forgotten about it. But it's how they perceive their class currently and how they want it to be. And we were able to track different patterns that way. So the nice thing is we were able to combine this with our O-test. So if a teacher came in and said, I need to work on these areas, I was able to get out this is where you wanted your class to be, and this is where it is now. Does this fit the goals you're trying to place? And we were able to use that as another method or another tool, not only to help the student, but to get the teacher to think, hey, yeah, I can do this or I can do that, or I'm starting to see patterns. The goal, of course, is to anticipate what's going to happen and put something in place before it does. And so with that being said, we're transitioning into next year, and Mr. Will's going to tell you, I believe, about our schedule and how we're going to incorporate what we're collecting this year for next year's schedule.
And just real briefly, we're taking the data that we've been able to use this year and looking and instituting a Hive period within the school day. So the last period of the day, we're actually going to have a time where teachers can pull students that need to make up assignments, that need some extra work, that can do an enrichment activity. And we're going to address some of those things that we see through our watch list and through our intervention list that we may not be able to do just because of transportation, kids' activities. And the other thing that we're going to do with it is we're going to try and limit some of the interruptions to the academic day, because at the high school, there's a lot of different things going on, and sometimes you're pulling kids out of instruction time. We want to try and limit that as well. And so we're gonna kill a lot of birds with one stone with this Hive period. I'm excited to see what an impact it has on our student body, because that's what it's intended for. And one thing, we can't say that our teachers aren't tireless in their efforts to work with kids and to find ways for kids to be able to succeed. And we're going to continue as administration to pour into them and give them opportunities where they can add to their toolbox and have the ability to do some of the things that we want to do with kids and to see kids succeed, because that's the bottom line. So it's a little bit longer snapshot of our community, but there's a lot going on. We're very fortunate for your support. We thank you, and we look forward to the end of the year and what the next year brings. Thank you.
questions for Scott of the high school group? I figured there might be a question or two. If you could just speak into the microphone. And
I do have a question. When I hear that you're talking about watchdog programs that you're investing, and then of course the 504, how does that all fit together?
Well, I think everything's interrelated. One of the things that we hope to do is by being able to provide some extra support during this high period, that we can work specifically on some of those things that we're seeing the kids lacking. We have kids that are on IEP, kids that are on 504, but still sometimes it's the regular classroom teacher that doesn't have the opportunity to see those kids during the course of the day. And so now it really is going to be an opportunity where teachers can pull the kids they need when they need them and have that opportunity.
How long is that period going to be?
It's going to be about a half an hour.
And then the question would be, do all the kids have to stay for that last half hour?
The way we're going to set it up is all kids will be assigned a high period at the beginning. All freshmen and sophomores for sure will take place in that period, and then we will look case by case at our juniors, seniors, see where kids are at. We'll have kids that are doing CC Plus and some of those things that of course won't be in the building for that period. But really, each week, every student will check in with the teacher they're assigned to, and if a student starts slipping, then those students will be brought in for that period.
The one question that I asked, and I enjoyed hearing about the interventions and the watch list. Doggone, at the bottom line, I wanted to know, was it making a difference, and could you tell? And so, the one of the ways that you get on this watch list and/or intervention list is your performance in the classroom. So, D's and F's tend to be an indicator of that. And when I asked very specifically about that, the D's and F's have continued to decrease and decrease every quarter, and that's what's really important. So the interventions are making a difference as it relates to students getting D's and F's, and we've talked about that before. So if we can continue on that vein, then we certainly have our support for this program.
Well, and I think probably one of the bigger components too that we're able to do with the schedule is we've worked really hard with the teachers to create a schedule where they're going to have some time as content areas to meet during the day where we typically don't have that. So we've been able to work the schedule so that's going to be more of a reality. Because that's one thing we always look at. We have a lot of things going on, but where is some of that time to get together? And so we've built that in as well. And so we're excited to see how that happens. And really, if you're going to have a strong school, it's not from the top down, it's from the ground up. And so we got to pour into our teachers and give them the time and tools that they need, and then our kids are going to reap the benefits of that.
Scott, I have a question. During that period, will there be available to students the emotional or psychological help that some of them may need through guidance counselors or social workers?
We can. Our guidance counselors will be free, and we're also partnering with Village Network next year. They're going to do some groups in our building, so we're actually bringing them in, and that would be time where they'd be available to meet with certain kids. So we're going to have some more opportunities like that next year.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. Thank you, Stan. Is there any public participation? No public participation at this time. No student council representative. Anything from MVEA? We're good. Okay. Nothing from OSA, and so we can move on through the agenda. Are there any board items for discussion at this point? Okay, let's move on to the agenda under superintendent's report. I have a number of items for your information. The first one really kind of partners with this trip to Spain, which who wouldn't love a trip to Spain, right? But the Global Scholars Diploma, I have shared some of that information with you. We found out about 2 weeks ago that we were accepted into the program. And so that's exciting for us. Our students, we'll go through a planning year next year, and then we'll implement it the year after where we actually start sending groups of students to be an active participant in this. And, it's our goal that through a 4-year period of time, we'll have nearly 200 or so students involved in this Global Scholar experience. And likely at the end of that 4 years, love for them to have this designation of a Global Scholars Diploma. And some of it does involve travel or language and just understanding the culture and jobs associated from a global perspective. So that's there for you to take a look at. Also wanted to share as an item for information, the Levy Committee is getting ready to send out this mailer. This mailer will go out on Wednesday. And of course, our theme this year is Renew, Protect, and Preserve. Vote yes on the renewal. Of course, this is coming out from the Levy Committee for May 2nd. And then we get some information here, and I know I can't really flip it at this point in time, but you'll probably get one in the mail. But again, it's important to note that this is, it's a renewal. There's a zero tax increase, so this will not increase your taxes. Again, our biggest concern is just the fact that there's not a whole lot on this levy. I received my ballot language, and Mount Vernon City Schools is the only thing on the ballot. And not that that's a bad thing, but sometimes when there isn't a lot of things on the ballot, sometimes folks have a tendency to forget to go vote. We feel pretty good about how folks feel about the schools right now. It's just urging them to get out and vote. I know the committee is going to send some things home with our students. They paid for flyers to send home with students, and I think we're going to do that on Friday. And we've got some other little things planned just to remind folks of next Tuesday's election. So I wanted to share that to you. And then beyond that, we have a number of items for board approval. So we have 5 items for board approval under the superintendent section. Sure, we have a number of items here, and the one that I want to probably bring some highlight to, we continue to come back and talk about the calendar. We did find out through conversations through our labor management meetings that we were 1 day off, and so we did make an adjustment to that day at the end of the calendar. The other thing we looked at was in 2018-19, that's 2 years from now, that's 2 years after you're retired. Mrs. Diesel, just thought I'd bring that up. Spring break, we have always kind of tied it to Good Friday and to Easter. It just so happens that's even later than it was this year. And so it was like the 15th to the 20th. So we looked at what other area schools were thinking. Again, we're out 2 years now. Still, most schools just go out a year. So we asked the question, and they're all looking to tie it to the last day of March. So we did change the spring break for the 2018-19 calendar to be that last week in March. Now that will leave Good Friday off, and we have taken the following Monday off as well. So hopefully, knock on wood, this will be the last time we have to bring the calendar to your agenda. Any other questions on any of the items?
I'd just like to make a remark about the spring break and having the Good Friday and Easter Monday off. My family was there on Easter at my home. And the children are in a different school system and did not have Easter Monday off. And parents were disappointed because they had to travel back earlier than what we did. And I remember Mrs. Bennett remarking about, families need that travel time. I really, really appreciate how the city schools taking that Good Friday, Easter Monday off. That is really a plus for us, I think.
Very good, thank you. Sure. Item 3 is the approval of a resolution. We have reconnected with the Ohio Schools Facility Commission. It used to be OSFC, now it's OFCC. And I wanted to reconnect with them to take a look at our master plan document. And we have to have a board resolution in order to participate in the process. And that's why you see that resolution here tonight. I've also met with the Ohio Schools Facilities Commission related to some previous projects. Not only the windows at Pleasant Street Elementary, but also the current one we're going to be doing at the high school, where we're replacing all of those rooftop units. Both of those items were in the original master plan document, and so I'm hoping that we can recoup at least one of those. They said sometimes it's a challenge to go backwards and try to recoup because we weren't part of the process, but they feel very strongly that this $875,000 that we're investing now into the high school HVAC, that we'll be able to get credits for that. If in fact that happens, we'll have nearly $860,000 worth, $8.5 million worth of credit with the Ohio Schools Facility Commission. What we'll also do after this resolution tonight is they want to come and meet with Judy and I, and they want to begin that process to relook at that 2008 master plan. And they'll tell us things that we need to take a look at improving, what they'll pay for, what they won't pay for. If you recall back then, and maybe some of you were on the board, I don't know, there's a certain expectancy of a building that they're willing to put money into. At that point in time, Pleasant Street, Twin Oak, the middle school and the high school were the 4 buildings that they felt were worthy of what I would call remodeling or updating. They would have felt that our other 4 buildings are of an age where they could not, they would not spend state dollars to improve those facilities. They would recommend us to build new. Of course, that's easier said than done, but that's how they plan those things out. We believe we're going to hear similar results. It's going to be those 4 that we can upgrade, but they'll also put some money towards new buildings if the board chooses to start that conversation and walk down that track. I'm being told that once we approve this tonight, the soonest we could even think of receiving anything from the OFCC would be in January of 2019. That's a good thing, because we would need that kind of time to really, number one, develop the right plan, develop the right improvements, and then we'd have to actually begin to look at how we're going to put in our share of the cost of any of those upgrades. We'll have those credits sitting out there, but we'll also probably have to put in some of our own money into that pot. The nice part right now, where we sit, we're about 47% to 53%. That wasn't the case in 2008. In 2008, I think, they would pay about 30%, the board had to pay about 70%. So we moved up that ladder to where it's almost 50-50. And so that'll be important conversations for Judy and I to bring back to you to share with you exactly where we're at, how we can use those credits, and what that looks like. This resolution tonight authorizes us to just take the next step with them.
Any additional questions?
Yes. Is that 2008 master plan available for us to view?
Absolutely. Feel free to set up a time to come in, or I can bring you that. I mean, it's a big, thick document.
Okay.
You can look through it. They itemize everything out and put a dollar amount to it. The thing that I found quite interesting was they actually had the windows down for Pleasant Street in that 2008 document. The price that they estimated in 2008 was $350,000. And here we are, it's 2016 when we did that. Now, they were projecting it'd be about $420,000, but if you recall, we had a great bidding process, and we paid about $357,000. The master plan also said that this HVAC piece for the high school, in 2008 they said it would cost us $850,000. We just finished bids and it's $863,000. So surprisingly, it's fairly close. And you might have thought that from 2008 to today it would have really went much higher. But I think the bid process and when we participate has been a big benefit for us.
Yes. Mrs. Diesel? Yes. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Student liaison report. Pull that up. Okay. The first article is Northwest Local Hampton has introduced a robotics program in their middle school to encourage students to apply and reinforce math concepts. And the students who've interacted with the robots are posting higher math achievement scores.
From our upfront discounts with unbeatable.
There's an X at the top. You can click that off over on the far right. Go back. Anyway, the teachers participated in a state grant summer school training program.
Welcome.
And then if we can show the video, you'll get an example of what it's. Okay, there we go.
Welcome to Mike Casper's New Chevrolet in Milford. From our upfront discounts with unbeatable savings to our incredible selection of nearly 500 new Chevrolets, my team and I were committed to your total satisfaction, and we stand at the ready to earn your business. That's Mike Casper's New Chevrolet.
This is an example of a challenge that would be given to the students. They're given a problem, and then they have to program the robots to complete a specific task. You'll notice that the robots are doing the same pattern. They just might not be at the exact same time that the show will start facing the same direction. The same direction.
Thank you. The second article is about the Toledo City Pilots Media Literacy class, and they refer in the beginning to an 18-month study which was released by the Stanford History Education Group at Stanford University. And they found that 80% or more of middle schoolers confused a paid advertisement marked as sponsored content with a real news story. And that concerned them, and they want students to be more adept at recognizing fake news from real news. And the Start High School social studies teacher is piloting a media and politics class next school year aimed at fact-checking news, and more than 60 students have already applied. Their goal is to teach students how to analyze the news, and they get a half-hour credit as an elective. And the students have been ignoring critical details as identified in the Stanford study, and they point out that teachers should also look for ways to make media literacy connections in other classes. And we all know that this is an issue even in our nation about fake news, so I thought that was very relevant. The third article is about research support, the importance of autonomy and learning. And the research on brain, motivation, personalization, and student-centered learning validates the importance of student empowerment and learning. Students deciding what to focus on and designing their own homework means that they're more involved in their homework and spend more time on it. Personalizing their homework and allowing students to create assignments that excite them can help them take ownership of their education. And individual homework currently is being used by 5 teachers, 1 in each grade level, and that's grades 1 through 5. Teachers start the year by helping students identify their learning preferences, and they use surveys about learning style, their interests, and multiple intelligences. Students pinpoint their strengths and weaknesses and hopes and dreams with the year and reflections with the teacher and with conferences. And students, parents, and teachers work together, so the parents are involved. And they develop goals, and they set measurable goals that are correlated to the learning standards, and homework is used as a tool to meet those goals. Teachers grade students' homework and goals and actions, steps needed to meet those goals. An example might be a 2nd grade teacher allows students to show their understanding of learning standards through a variety of homework options, such as writing, presentations, movies, art, and music, and ownership yielded results. In the assignments, because they're generally longer, they have more depth, they're more creative than traditional homework that she'd assigned, and the students are enjoying their work and learning. Although students have choices, there exists some teacher-specified tasks as well, of course. And there's a section, if you go to the self-directed learning part, the last 2 paragraphs, I just like to call, I think you passed it. Goal setting requires a great deal of explicit teaching. In other words, this isn't easy. What a goal is has to be taught to students, how to develop it, how to work toward it. And one 4th grader who has trouble speaking in front of the class might set a goal to improve his speaking and listening skills by presenting on a topic of interest, drawing on self-reflection and teacher and peer feedback. Because this particular student loves airplanes, his presentation will be about paper planes. He set his goal, decided on a time frame, and worked backward and planned the steps from start to presentation. The student would use an individual project form and action plan, which the teachers developed, to reach his goal. For homework, he might research the science behind flight, learn how to make paper planes fly, and create a PowerPoint presentation to teach the class what he learned. Other students might apply learning standards to their individual interests, and then they may use several examples. So that just gives you an idea. There's a lot of work involved, but the teachers do admit that it takes a little longer to grade these assignments because they're personalized, but they felt like the learning that's taking place, the involvement of the kids, and the excitement is really worth the effort. And I think one of the things they pointed out that we sometimes forget, that the essence of schooling should be nurture, curiosity, to nurture curiosity, wonder, and the excitement of learning something new. And I think that's, we get caught up with testing and all of that and forget the wonder and the joy of learning is really important for kids too. So that was the longest one. The next one is the community walks, and that's about an international high school, which I didn't think was as relevant to us, but they actually take the students out on walks in their community to learn about the community and to have the teachers understand the students better. The next article is about the New York district that closes the achievement gap, and essentially they're using a tracking system. And the one thing I thought was most interesting is they're using School Start for their tracking system, and their names are coded, and they actually have like a stoplight. So if the students are progressing and on track, their name is in green. If they're not doing so well, they might be yellow, and then if they miss, say, 4, they've been assigned extra work sessions, and they show up for 4 of them, then their name is going to show up in red, so they can identify quickly who needs more help. And then the research achievement and
I'd just like to comment that personalized homework, I think it's a little bit reflected in Billy's presentation today. And I think also what I was pleased about that article is that it's more focused on the idea of, well, the students learning in a different style, use it in their multiple
Another thing that the article pointed out was the timing, that the students' homework would be due, initially it was on Friday, they would be assigned Monday. They'd pick their topics and then have to turn them in by Friday. And the students asked if they could have till Monday. And they realized on their own that the procrastinators were waiting until Sunday to do their homework and how that wasn't a good idea. So it's showing them how to evaluate their own practices and helping them to develop maturity and learning to expect that. Okay, thank you.
Under section B of the curriculum instruction staff development, we have one item for board approval. It's an overnight extended student trip again. This is one after hearing our last one that I might want to take a little careful look at. So you'll notice that Mrs. Berensmeyer is planning another trip to Italy. She has quite a little agenda planned, and so she's looking for our approval to go in June of 2018. So that's a year from now. One item for your approval.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Gadsden? Yes. Mrs. Feasel? Yes. Mrs. Fordyce?
Yes.
If you want to scroll down to the third page, stop on this one. As you can see, our ending balance for March was $13,873,000, which is pretty healthy. That's what we're looking for at this time. We're going to scroll down to the next page. No, that's not. This is the SRG report that we do the comparisons between the budgeted amounts and the actual amounts. So I'll just go briefly over the general property tax. In October, I forecasted we would collect $14,875,000, and we collected 99.59% of that, $14,814,170. So that's very close. Our tangible personal property tax came in higher. We had estimated at 1.2 million, and we got almost 1.4 million on that. Our state grants and aid are coming in just about where they're supposed to be. We finished 3/4 of the fiscal year, and we collected 75.7%. And the other grants as well, restricted grants, which is our economically students and our career tech money. Property tax, rollback, and our cap tax. We have one more payment coming in on, actually, it's our property allocation tax that'll come in, and that'll take that just about to 100%, I expect. The only other items that we were looking at was miscellaneous receipts. We're hoping to get, or down at the bottom, all of the financing sources, 2.060. I just talked to Medicaid today, and we should be getting a $192,000 refund from them. We're hoping to get it before the fiscal year ends. We may not. If not, we'll go towards next year's revenues. On the expenditures, the one that'll pop out at again is the supplies and materials. We've been talking about that the whole fiscal year. It's going to be higher when I do the corrected, the updated forecast for May, which has to be presented to the board in May and submitted to the State Department. We'll change that. Obviously, we've already spent more than the $846,000. A good bit of that is because of the maintenance projects that Rick's been working on. And even though some of the materials that he uses are not inexpensive, there's a lot of them. And so that's been a little bit higher than that. So I'll adjust that in the next forecast. And the other items up there are just about revision fees. The interest, $444,000 this year. I think last year was $26,000, and a quarter of a year to go, so very happy about that. And those
sweep accounts, like some money market accounts through the bank that we're doing. I'm not doing any risky or exotic investments at this time. Not too comfortable doing that yet, so, but the bank's helping us out. So. And then this cash flow report, go through briefly, it's the same as always. The first page, the graphs, and I did email Dr. Bennett to find out if we could put the percentages up here. The lady who works on that was in her office today, so if you want to look at the colored line, the bar charts there, that is the top one is the total amount that I was projecting for revenue for the year and how much we've collected year to date, which for this year so far is the end of March, we have collected 87.1%. And the bar right below that is the exact same calculation for last year as of the end of March, and then we have collected 85.6%. So we're collecting a little bit more so far this year than we did last year, percentage-wise, to what we expected. And then the second graph is the exact same kind of comparison on this for the expenditures and stuff. Each is the actual revenue year-over-year comparisons. So your first column is what we collected last year on revenue, and then what we've collected this year, and that's the year to date. And then the next line, the next column, or the next chart down below is the current year actual revenue for the month compared to last year. So it's the revenues that we collected last year in March versus the ones we got this year. And the next page is the same kind of information ones for the expenditures. For the other operating expenses, it was lower because the ESC had not taken charges out last year early on, so they were higher for the rest of the year because it had to be spread out over a short period of time. And purchase services, again, are higher. Those are expenditures. Again, because of our open enrollment is higher at about $30,000. And the next is the bar chart that shows the cash balance projections for this year and the coming year. The light blue is this year, and the the dark blue is for the coming year, 2018. And again, that just shows how our money comes and goes. Comes in January and in July, and by the time we get to the end of June, it's starting to go back down again because of our taxes are collected. The other money that comes in is pretty flatline. We get the same amount every month from the state, and the other collections that we get through, say, student fees, those kinds of things do vary through the year. And then the last page, I tried to bring something that I think will be interesting to you, and I think that the highlight of this is if you look at the graph at the top, the orange bars at the very top, that represents the money that we need to have from the renewals. So if you look at the blue line, and that's the revenues, and you look at the red line, which is the expenditures, you can see that without those renewals, without those orange bar, which represents the renewals, you would have some real serious problems. The renewals that we're asking for, I don't know if you were able to read it on the card that Bill put up, but they represent 10% of our budget because it's our $3 million one and our $846,000. So it's not that we can take it lightly. We definitely have to get those ones. And then at the bottom is just sort of some useless information to you, but it just shows the collection splits. So in other words, it shows how much of the taxes are collected in July versus how much is collected in January. If you get a chance to take a look at that, it's kind of interesting to see. Some people pay all of their taxes in January and they get a bill for the whole year. A lot of people pay in January and then pay the balance in July. So that's what that shows. Those two reports. The next item I have is I'm asking the board to approve an advance of the money from the general fund to the PI fund for a total of $875,000. That's to pay for the replacement of the high school rooftop units that were approved. We approved the bids back in March, The auditors prefer that we move the money from the general fund to the PI fund. And then I have a schedule there of how I think we should approve the resolution to get it paid back, so that, as I said before, if there's a different treasurer or a different superintendent or even a different board, that we have this in writing as to how we want it to be paid back. Now, it can be changed if there's something that happens, we want to pay it back quicker, or maybe we can't come up with in 2020, maybe 200,000 is a little bit too much. But if we have this already in place, then we'll be ready to make sure that we do that on that schedule. And which means that by the end of, actually early on in fiscal 2022, we will have it paid back to the general fund. And when I bring the updated forecast in May, you'll see that, because we're actually going to take 175 out of what will be this year's carryover. So carryover's not going to look as good this year, but we're paying for these rooftop units, and then each year for the next 5 years there'll be a repayment back. So, it all comes out sort of the same, but at least we'll be able to track it better, and the auditors can see where the money's going. And there won't be any, there would be less opportunity for there would be a forgotten payment back, so that the iFund stays healthy, because we need it for other things, our buses and so on. And some donations, two donations, both to the Twin fifth grade camp, one from Sean Eames for $40 to go towards camp fees, and one from Cassandra Gibson for $35 also to go for camp fees.
I'd just like to say that a retired teacher who worked at the high school, Joyce Gosek, was delighted to hear about the replacements of the heating and cooling elements, even though she's not there anymore. She says, oh, thank God. So, thank you for retired teachers.
So, question, Bill, what would be considered the life expectancy of these units as they go?
What they tell us is that it has a 15-year life expectancy. The ones we're currently, or the ones we're getting ready to replace have been there for nearly 22 years. So we certainly have gotten the life out of those. I would expect that we would see a similar kind of a life expectancy. If we get 15 to 20 years, I think we'd be pleased with that.
Mrs. Revoltine?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mrs. Fiesel?
Yes.
Dr. Beck?
Thank you. If you want to go to the link, if you don't, that's okay, because I'm jumping around a little bit. HB 14, which is the third bill down, is for automatic voter registration for eligible persons in certain government school databases. I think that would be excellent for them to approve that. The fourth one down is HB 21. It's just regarding the verification of the school enrollments. They're still going through this process. HB 87, I don't remember, oh, that's a little ways down. It's regarding public money refunded to the state due to a finding for recovery from the auditor estate. It would require the Department of Education to credit the funds to certain public school districts' state education aid, which that is money that I think was refunded from the charter schools when they were found to be HB 110 creates a sub-program of the College Credit Plus program, which I find is interesting, which will permit eligible students to participate in the Certified Apprenticeship Program. This beginning language, which is section C, number 6, it states that funding will come from the school foundation payments, and the payments will go toward the businesses for the costs associated with employing students. The bill would also determine the method for assigning college credit for these apprenticeship programs. That sounds complicated to me, but I think it's a great idea, but again, another unfunded mandate. Just two more I'd like to highlight. HB 134 allows community improvement board grants to the school district to be spent on permanent improvements outside the county, as long as those improvements are within the school district. And then finally, SB 5 provides a 3-day state sales tax holiday for any Energy Star product purchases, and this tax holiday will take place in April. So I found that kind of interesting. I don't know if we'd be able, if that passes, if we'd be able to take advantage of that. And then I'd just like to highlight an article that is from the Plain Dealer, that one of our state representatives, who is the chairman of the House Education Committee, plans to propose amendments to the state budget bill, which would adjust the state rewards and penalizes the organizations that start and oversee charter schools. The biggest change is he wants to do away with a requirement that the academic performance of the multiple charter schools in each overseer's portfolio of schools will be weighted by the number of students at each school. So again, it seems like they date public education schools and then are trying to find ways to help the charter schools when we're in need of the assistance. So if anybody wants to continue to call our state representatives and governor and say our piece, I highly encourage that. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
The only comment I would have is it seems like we have 4 pages of new legislative kinds of things.
That's why I did not go through every single one.
I was at a meeting on Friday and had a chance to speak with the state school board president. I'm chair of the management council for all ITCs in Ohio, and we did a conference call that was all video, and she addressed the group. So we had a chance to have some good conversations, respectful conversations, sharing some concerns and some things that we'd love for them to take a look at. So they're certainly listening and they're hearing, and that's all we can do.
I forgot, there was one other thing that I read an article about our graduation rates. They anticipate being lower at the end of the year due to those new standards that they have for our high school graduates.
Well, there's a real concern among not only graduation rates. They've already made one amendment for this graduating class of 2017. They're going to be making perhaps some more amendments for the classes to come. And they're going to have to reevaluate the cut scores because our test scores across the state are going to see, some numbers that statistically won't look so good. Thank you. We have a number of items for board approval under the business services section. We have 6 in total. Just to quickly review, the first one is the approval of an MOU with the Ohio State Extension Office. They come to some of our elementaries and perform certain functions. And what was happening in the past, they would go to each little building and kind of do their own little MOUs. We found out about that and said, hey, why don't you just do one that will encompass all of our elementaries, and we can approve it at the board. So that is that memorandum of understanding. Item 2, quickly, is a resolution for Meta. Meta used to be MEC, if you recall, and that's our buying consortium. We buy our buses through there. They do all of the bidding process and allows us to move forward with purchase, and we're looking at 2 new buses. Items 3 and 4 are lack of service provider contracts. And we get those E-rated, by the way, so when you look at those dollar amounts and your jaw drops, it is expensive, but we're about an 80% where it's paid for through E-rate funding, which is really good. We also have an item 5. Our food service truck is seeing its last meal. It's in bad shape and beginning to rust out, almost to a point, quite frankly, where it's bid unsafe. So we're going to go out to bid on that. I know Nancy has kept a little bit of a reserve of her account to help support the purchase of that. You're probably looking in this neighborhood of $50,000 to $60,000. So it's not an inexpensive endeavor, to say the least, because you're looking at the body of the truck, you're looking at the big bed of the truck, you're looking at the freezer unit that cools it, as well as a lift gate. So all of those things are kind of put into one big package. And then you're seeing 3 items for 3 facility requests. So items 1 through 6 for your approval.
The buses would be a continuation of the larger capacity ones, I take it?
We are, yeah. We used to buy 72 passengers. We've now upped it to that 80 passenger range, and so we want to keep it at that level. They might be making one that actually goes a little bit more, but we're trying to maximize our opportunity there. Yes.
Yes.
We have no items for information tonight. You will notice that there are 2 contracts. Actually, it shows 3, but the second one has a duplication of 2, so we don't need the second one there. Judy wants to mark it out. Both of these contracts are not directly related to the district at all. This is flow-through money that's auxiliary funds, and it's for, the first one's an intervention specialist at St. Vincent, the second one is for a counselor at St. Vincent. So we handle the funding as part of our federal funding monies that are allotted to them. So it's basically
Any other questions for item 1 or 2?
I would entertain a motion then to approve. Thank you, Mrs. Fiesel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Bullock. Now, are there any questions?
Yes, I appreciate the confirmation of how this money is flowed through us. Is there any reason why that is done that way through the state? Do you have any idea why the money flows through us rather than directly through to a private school?
Just because it goes through the state and they don't pay money directly to schools. It is a per pupil amount as well, so it does vary from year to year.
Okay, so.
And we do get a 4% administrative fee that we need to keep for that. We're doing that. So,
okay. But the funds are actually state funds, taxpayer funds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they flow to us and then go to private.
And they're only allowed to spend them on certain things.
Okay.
They certainly aren't allowed to spend them on anything religious or anything.
So it's just those particular services and nothing else.
Yeah, they can buy materials with it, they can buy, paper, those kinds of supplies and those kinds of things. But we are actually responsible for how they're spent. So we have to send in a report at the end of the year to show. And it's a 2-year amount, so it goes with the biennium. So at the end of the first year, if there's money left over, they can carry it over to the second year. If they don't spend it all at the end of the second year, which would be this year, then we send it back to the state.
How do we verify that those funds go specifically to those items?
Because we do the purchase orders for them. We actually purchase them for them.
Okay.
In other words, they call, say, Becky in my office and say, this is what I want, and then she does the purchase order and it's coded. Their fund number is separate. and then the item goes directly to the school. And we don't pay for it until we hear from the school that they've gotten it, just like we do with any other purchase. We don't give them the money, we pay for the items that they want.
Thank you.
And there have been times in the past when there have been questions about it, and we can actually call the state and say, did they buy this? And sometimes they don't.
I think your question's a good one, and it's the one where, why don't they just give it to them and make them accountable? I think when you send it just to the public institution, it certainly limits the number of audits, and times people are going to come in and check where money's being spent. You can imagine the number of private schools in other municipalities or city school districts, so instead of having to kind of audit 6 schools, you just audit 1. And I'm guessing that may be one of the other little caveats to why it goes through us.
And they are small amounts, Jim. And did you understand, Mrs. Forney, about A and B? It should just be one. There actually the letter should be deleted. Call the roll. Are you ready? Mrs. Hazel? Yes. Mrs. DeWolf? Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Wilson? Yes. Yes, motion carried. Personnel?
Under personnel, we have no items for information. I do have a number of retirements, and this is the time of year for that. We have 2 retirements here. Janine Davenport is retiring as a Title I math teacher at Columbia, and Michelle Hoare is a speech and language pathologist at East. She will also be retiring. We have a couple of resignations. Andrew Acetola from English Language Arts at the middle school, and Erin Daniels as the assistant athletic director. She'll continue in her role in the math department. We have a number of appointment items in section 3, fairly customary from substitutes down to summer school teachers. And then item 4, we have some appointment of extracurriculars. You'll notice a head girls soccer coach and a head golf coach. I did do some interviewing with these 2 new coaches, and William Bonsinger will become our new head girls soccer coach, and Anthony Savage will become the head boys and girls golf coach. And of course, in item 5, this is a new one, even as of our board preview, Eric Brown has accepted my offer to become the elementary curriculum director moving forward. And I know Judy and I and Kathy, and we met with him on Thursday to really get a real vision for what he wanted to bring to the position. There's about as much excitement as you'll see from Dr. Brown. He's a fairly soft-spoken fellow, but there is that sense of excitement and enthusiasm in his voice, and he has some neat ideas, and so we're excited to bring him in. What that does do, however, is it leaves us now 2 elementary principals positions, and we'll be moving forward, obviously, with those as well.
I would entertain a motion then to approve those personnel items as read.
So moved.
Mr. Willard, I do have a second. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please? Mrs. Willard?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Hazel? Yes. Mrs. Jensen? Yes. Yes, motion carried. Classified staff?
Under classified staff, we have no items for information tonight. Item B, we do have a number of items for board approval. We have the retirement there of Nancy Lester at Cook at Columbia. Items 2, 3, and 4 are all employment issues from aides to substitute bus drivers. And you'll see in item 5 is our summer work crew. They do a tremendous job throughout the summer getting our schools ready to open up. It's hard to believe we're talking about summer work crews already. But items 1 through 5 for your approval.
You would entertain a motion to that effect? Thank you, Mrs. Gatsman. Second. Thank you, Mrs. Fiesel. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Gatsman? Yes. Mrs. Hazel? Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion carried. And I do believe our superintendent would like an executive session.
I do have 2 items I'd like to just briefly discuss. The first is the appointment and employment of an employee. The second one is the purchase of property for public purpose.
I would entertain a motion then to go into executive session.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Roldizer, is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mrs. Saxon.
Mr. Roldack.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon. Yes. Mr. Thompson. Mrs. Weasel.
Yes. Motion carried, the board will be going into executive session.